Good morning to one and all present here. I, Swapnil Patel, Student Manager, BIMHRD, feel immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Rajesh Dembla. Welcome you, sir. Mr. Rajesh Dembla is a former Group Vice President of Just Dial Limited. During his tenure of more than 16 years, sir has played a crucial role in the growth of Just Dial, from a startup company to a unicorn today. Sir has been instrumental in conceptualizing the product, setting up operations across India and launching Just Dial in United States of America, UK, Canada and UAE. He is one of the few internet entrepreneurs who has been instrumental in building a new age Indian company, getting it funded and seeing it go public. Earlier, Sir was a part of India.com, a venture funded by Rupert Murdoch. This was in year 1999 when internet businesses were taking birth. Before this, Sir started his career with another startup, the Get It Yellow Pages. He made it a household name during his 7-year tenure at Get It. The one thing that stands out is that Sir loves startup, and all the 3 companies that he has worked for all gone on to become huge brands in the country. Currently, Sir has set out on a mission to build 100 startups across 24 industry domains. He is the founder and CEO of Zeltmog Design and Tech. He is one of the board of directors of several internet companies, also a LP with Bloom Venture. Sir strongly believes in Indian story and has vowed to build companies with Indian first strategy. We welcome you, sir. The podium is all yours.
Just keep it in the pockets. Just keep it in the pockets. Slide change. Okay.
Good morning. Sorry for the delay in setting this up. It's really exciting, to be here today and to look at so many young Indian faces. I am really, really proud to be an Indian when I look at all of you even more, right? I have met students from various parts of the world. I have seen students who have gone on to graduate and join companies, large internet companies across the world, especially in the Valley. But whenever I see students from India, I have always felt that you guys are brighter, you guys are smarter, you guys are willing to work harder. So like the previous Mr. Paddy spoke and told you, don't worry, your future is very bright. I can reassure you that if I'm given a choice to hire between an American or a British student versus an Indian student, I don't think I have to even think for a second. I'll definitely hire an Indian student. So. Well, I'm not going to bore you today about how we build Just Dial or what are the kind of jobs available in Just Dial. How can you join Just Dial? All of that information is available on the website. All of that information is available online to join any company today, right? What I'm going to talk to you is about something very different. Before I start, I also want to tell you this. Yesterday, I'm sure you've heard a lot of speakers speak, isn't it? Yeah? Today, you're going to listen to a lot more speakers. Tomorrow, you're going to listen to a few more speakers. Everybody you listen to has a perception, has a view, has, something to offer you in terms of advice. All of it may not be useful to you. Some of it may in fact be contradicting also, right? The best thing to do is to take the best of each speaker, whatever really makes sense to you, and use it. It always helps. Does that make sense? Yeah? So don't get confused if I say certain things which are not sounding very similar to what the previous speakers have spoken. Okay, so whenever I meet a lot of young, not just students, even people who have joined the corporate world, whenever I meet people, they ask me this question. They say, I want to be part of $1 billion company. Okay, is it a good idea? I always tell them, of course it's a great idea. But the question is, how do you want to be part of that $1 billion company? Do you want to work for it, or do you want to own it? You want to own it, right? How many of you want to work for it, and how many of you want to own it? Can you say, how many of you want to own it? Can I see those hands up? Wow. Wow, that's awesome. So this is the bright young faces of India, where everybody wants to own a company. Great. So you're going to like my talk because I'm going to talk a lot about how you can start your own venture today. I'm going to talk about how you can be an entrepreneur as well. Okay, I'm going to be talking a lot about it. So here are the other questions that I keep getting asked every time. Should I join a large company? Should I join a startup? Should I start my own venture? Should I join my family business? Should I go abroad to work? Do you have these questions in mind?
Yes, sir.
Am I talking sense to you now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if these are the questions you've got in your mind, how many of you believe that you are confused? Don't know what to do. Wow, I love this. I love this honesty, okay? So a lot of people ask me, is it okay to be confused? At my age, I'm already 22, 23, okay? My dad at home tells me that, by now you should know what you want to do in life. The answer really is that it's absolutely okay to be confused. Okay, you're normal. If you're confused, you're normal. Okay, let me tell you this. A lot of people in the world are confused even beyond the age of 45, 50 and 60 years old. So don't think that you're alone if you're confused. It's a good sign. It means you have a lot of choice. In fact, if you're confused, it gives you a chance to even experiment. Experiment with different kinds of jobs, experiment with different kinds of ventures. We all know about Mr. Jack Ma, right? Jack Ma is the founder of Alibaba. If you listen to some of his interviews in China, he tells every Chinese student that till the age of 30, please keep experimenting. Don't settle down in a job. Okay? So, it's absolutely normal to be confused, right? But no matter what you do, okay, if you're confused, it's okay. If you don't know what job to take, it's okay. But no matter what you do, whether you join a startup, whether you join a large company, whether you join, your own venture, you start your own venture, join your family business, doesn't matter what you do. Remember this, if you're not a great team player, okay, your chances of success are not going to be great. You've got to be a great team player, and that is the key that I would say to being very successful at a younger age. So let's understand, why am I saying this? If there are two teams that we put together, one team with a normal idea, mediocre idea, but a great team, another team, great idea, mediocre team. You will always find that a great team with a mediocre idea will outperform a great idea with a mediocre team. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
do you agree with me?
Yes,
so what this means is, no matter what you do in your life, your success depends on how good a team player you are and how good your team is. So if you want, I saw a lot of hands go up when you said that most of you want to start your own venture. If you want to start your own venture, can you do it alone? You need a big team with you. Okay? So what kind of people you hire makes all the difference. So you will have a choice once you start your own venture. You will get people mediocre, willing to work for less salaries, willing to compromise all the time, but they are not really great, don't hire them. You must hire people only who are the best. And therefore, talking about you guys, if you want to be hired, okay, whether you want to work for a large company or not, whether you want to work for a startup or not, you will get hired only if you are a great team member. So learn to become one. You've got to become a great team player, great team member. That's very critical. Okay, now I'm going to take 3 scenarios and talk to you if you join a large company. Okay? So how many of you want to join a large company? Fantastic. Can you give me 1 or 2 names? What companies you want to join? Don't tell me Just Dial just because I'm here. Great. Fantastic. So did I hear anybody saying InMobi? No? I'm talking about how many of you know about a company called InMobi? Good, there are quite a few of you. Guys, watch out. This is one Indian company that you should watch out for. Okay, they are already a very large company. They're already making waves across the world. They've shaken up Google in many ways. And they are one of the few companies which has been accepted in China by the Chinese people, and they're doing a great job. So if you're looking at a large company to really work for, one of the companies that I would definitely recommend is a company called InMobi as well, amongst many others. Okay. So if you join a large company, you must make sure you understand a few things. What are those few things? First and foremost, you understand, forget about the company that you're joining, first you must understand the industry. Okay? If you really want to be successful in the company that you're joining, before even joining the company, please understand the industry in detail. How big is the industry? What exactly is the industry doing? What is the CAGR expected to be over the next 5 or 6 years? What is the kind of growth that this industry is going to see? You must also try and see if you can lay your hands on some industry reports. Okay, there are a lot of industry reports available. You must spend some time to read it. Because if you don't understand the industry very well, no matter which company you join within that industry, I don't think you're going to do very well in that company. Okay, because you need to understand the industry first. That's how you will know what the company needs to do, where the company needs to improve. Okay, that's how you will be able to contribute to the company. Therefore, it's very important for you to understand the industry first. Then you understand the company. Like, there was once, I was talking to a group of young students who were just about to graduate. I asked one of them, what do you want to do? He said, I want to join a company called Flipkart. I asked him why. He said, it's big. I asked, okay, what do you mean by it's big? So he says, no, it's popular, it's fun. It's got a great work culture. And I really asked, how do you know what the work culture is since you've never worked there? He said, no, I've heard about it. Now, this is where I'm coming and talking to you about. First, before joining a company, please try and do a little bit of research, talk to a few people, read about the company, understand, because that student didn't know who the founders of Flipkart were. He did not know what Flipkart's plans are for the future. He did not understand, okay, what the e-commerce industry is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years. He had no idea. He had only one idea. He wanted to go back home and to his friends and say, "Mere ko job mil gaya, I have joined Flipkart." That's all. And if that was the case, do you think he would have got selected? Not really, right? So before you join a company, please understand the company in depth, understand the owners, understand the future plans of the company, understand the culture of the company if you can, because it's very important for you. You must read about the online reviews, work culture, and especially reviews from previous employees. It's very important. Do not get influenced by large brand names. Okay? I'm specifically telling you, everything that glitters is not gold. Okay? Just because a company's brand is very big, if you go and work for it, you may get disappointed as well. So it's very important for you to read reviews about the company from its previous employees and see what they have to say. Look at things like when people joined that company 5 years ago, where are they today? Have they grown? Have they not grown? Have they done well? Are they accepted in the business world? You understand, because what happens to them is probably going to happen to you in the next 5 years or next 3 years. So it's very important to understand that. Understand your managers and peers. Okay, once you join the company, don't just think that you've got a job, now everything is cool. It's very important for you to understand your managers. Probably, okay, during your induction or post your induction, it's very important for you to sit down with your managers and ask your manager, okay, as to what exactly is he expecting out of you. You must be very blunt. You must ask your manager, tell me what are you expecting out of me? Tell me what exactly can I do to make sure I'm making your life better? Tell me what exactly can I do to make this company better? Don't keep asking only about what the benefits are that you will get. It's very important for you to understand your manager and his goals or her goals, because that's when your manager will have the confidence in you. Okay? Understand your peers, because they are your competition. Don't put them down. You know, I've always believed in the Olympian kind of competition where both of us try our best. May the better person win. Okay? We play for the same team. You know, that's how the Olympians practice together. Right? So they practice together. They know there is only one gold medal. Either I can win it or he can win it. It doesn't matter who wins it. We will be fair. We will try our best. We will learn together, and let's go give it our best. So with your peers, it's important for you to understand them. Important for you to understand your managers. Understand what your job is exactly. Okay? Many a times job descriptions can be very, very misleading. For example, a lot of jobs in India say marketing executive. You heard this, the designation? A marketing executive is nothing but a sales executive who's on the field talking to customers. Now, is sales and marketing the same? But they're called marketing executives. Similarly, there are hundreds of designations. There are hundreds and hundreds of designations. There's a big difference between designations in Indian companies and designations in American companies. For example, if you have a director as a designation in America, you are probably mid-level manager. In India, probably you're the owner of the company. You see the difference? A vice president in America is probably just after the chairman or after the president. A vice president in India is probably just above the general manager. So there's a lot of difference between designations in companies. So don't get misled. Understand what your job is. Understand what your designation is. Ask for what is expected out of your job. Okay? Ask the company. Ask your HR managers. Ask your reporting bosses. What is this job all about? How does it make a difference to this company? Am I important? Am I contributing enough as a job? Okay? Is my contribution to the company good enough to help the company grow? Or am I just a support role? You know? Am I making sense, guys? Yes, am I boring you? No, sir. Okay. So it's very important for you to understand your job, understand the goals of your company, the goals of your managers, and most importantly, have your own goals. And please, at the beginning of your career, don't plan for the next 10 years. If possible, plan for the next 1 year, 2 years at the most. Try not to plan for longer. Life changes, everything around you changes, technology changes, okay, the economic situation changes. So don't try to plan for too long. 1 or 2 years at this age is fantastic. As long as you know your goals, you know where you're going, okay? So that if you're joining a large company, those are some important points. But if you're joining a startup, okay, you read about startups every day these days, right? You read about startups everywhere. Some startup or the other is getting funded every day. The venture capitalists are pouring money into startups, and there's a lot of excitement about being part of startups. So if you join a startup, okay, you must understand what the problem is that this startup is trying to solve. Okay, now this is a very critical point. I want to tell you, every startup is trying to solve some problem or the other. Okay, you must understand what is the problem that that startup is trying to solve. That's the most important thing. Once you know that, then you know Do you really want to be solving this yourself? Do you want to be part of that team? Is your heart with that problem? If your heart is not in solving that problem, that's not the startup for you, even though it's got funding, even though it's got a big name today. Be very careful about joining startups. Align it with your heart. Okay, that's how you must choose a startup to work for. Okay, most important thing when you join a startup is the kind of learning you get. In a large company, what you might learn in about 5 to 10 years, in a startup you will learn more than that in about 1 or 2 years. Okay, that is for sure, because you will be involved with so much more. Your growth will be so much faster. But if your heart is not with you and you're not going to be happy in that startup, don't join it. There is no point. Luckily, you're in this age, in this country where every day there is a startup happening somewhere. So if you don't get into the existing startups, don't worry. By the time I finish this talk, probably another 10 startups would have emerged out of somewhere. Right? So be careful about what you choose. Understand your job within the startup. Okay, here it's even more critical. If your job is not a critical function in a startup, I think you're going to be wasting a lot of time. Don't go and play a support role in a startup, because the reason why I'm saying this is, the chances of that startup succeeding are very, very low. Okay, out of every 100 startups, probably 5 startups go to the next level, or probably 7 or 8 startups go to the next level. So about 92% of startups are failing. And within that failing ecosystem, if your job is not a critical job where you're learning something important, don't be part of that startup. Again, goals, like I said, mostly short term. Important thing in a startup is take up more responsibility. Okay? Take up a lot more responsibility, ask for it. If you don't get it, just go take it. In a startup environment, people love it when, newcomers join the company. They don't have to be told what to do. They on their own are trying to improvise. They are innovating, they're disrupting. People love that. If you're joining a startup, that's something that's very important. And here's a very important point. If you join a large company versus a startup, in a large company, it's very unlikely that at this stage in your life, you will get ESOPs or you will get shares in the company. But in a startup, don't join unless and until the company has a culture or a belief that they want to share the wealth with every employee in the company. So if you are joining a startup, you must ask for ESOPs, you must ask for shares in the company. Depending on how critical your role is, you must own some part of that company. Okay? And this is something you must not forget. According to me, this is going to make you happy. If your startup becomes big, at a very young age, you would have made a lot of wealth. Okay? If you are starting your own venture, make sure you understand the problem and the industry both. The problem is, what problem are you trying to solve, and how big is the industry, both the parts which I spoke earlier. Before starting a venture, these 2 points in my mind are very, very critical for you. If you don't understand this, don't get carried away by the herd mentality. Okay? I see a lot of youngsters today coming and talking to me and saying that, can you fund my company? I'm doing this, I'm starting a new company in this space or in that domain. And I ask them, why are you starting in this domain? Why are you trying to do what you're trying to do? And the answers that I generally get are, there are already 4 companies who have got funded. So this industry must be good. The reality is quite the contrary and opposite. If there are too many companies that are already funded in that space, okay, your chances of success are going to be narrowed down by that much. Unless and until you have some skill sets, okay, and a team which is going to complement that, and you're going to be someone extraordinary out there. Okay, understand your job. Now, here is what the contradiction is. I'm saying start your own venture, but understand your job. What I mean is, even in a startup, even though you are the owner of that startup, you won't succeed unless and until you're playing a critical role in that startup. So you've got to have a job in that startup. So understand what is it that you're going to do on a daily basis. Okay? Goals. When I say goals, your company's goals, most importantly your investors' goals. You must understand what is the investor's goal. Somebody's investing $1 million with you, giving you a seed fund of close to $1 million or $500,000. The person is giving you that funding because he has a goal. He wants to see 3x returns in 3 years, or he wants to see 5x returns in 3 years. He wants to see a merger or an acquisition happening somewhere down the line. He's already funded a similar company. probably is looking at hedging, you've got to understand what is his goal. Otherwise, you'll have a conflict probably 2 years later. Okay? Technology, okay, now I'm going to talk about technology, the most important piece of the future and the present. If you're looking at a startup without technology, your chances of success or at least scaling is very, very limited. So technology is going to play a very critical role. Understand the use of technology, understand the use of tools within technology. This is going to shape your life. If you have great tech, everything else will become easy for you. If you don't have great tech and if you don't have a great tech team or a great technical co-founder, things are going to be slow, things are going to be difficult. Okay? One of the things like as an entrepreneur, a startup entrepreneur is, you must reward and recognize every person who's contributing to your business. And also every minute be observant. Be observant of every data point. This is the most critical aspect. Again, like I said, ask for the smartest people to join you. Do not, if you start a venture of your own, do not ask, do not take people as a compromise. Take only the best people. Otherwise, your success is going to be difficult. And remember that unless and until your startup is disrupting something, innovating something, it's a little difficult for a startup to succeed. Okay? Let's look at a startup example. This is a very critical example that I want to give you about how the landscape of businesses is changing. How companies are getting started and what is getting achieved. Okay, we call it the Zelpmock way. The company is called Zelpmock. Okay, and this is what the company's achieved in less than a year of being in stealth mode. Okay, now this is a startup which is less than a year old, stealth mode, not even made public. Okay, but I'm talking about this case study to you. It's aiming at 100 India first startups to be built within Zelpmock. 100 startups to be built. 23 startups are work in progress. 3 live projects today. All the 3 live projects, 2 of them have got funding from the largest VCs in India and the Silicon Valley, and 1 of them has got acquired by the Times of India Group. Okay, the product that has got acquired by the Times of India Group was valued at 200 crores. The other 2 companies that have got funded by very, very large names. I don't want to give those names out. You will read about it in the papers shortly. Okay, in a span of less than 1 year, this company has created over a 1,000 crore valuation. Okay, and this is real valuation, not inflated valuation. When I talk about 1,000 crore valuation, I'm talking about 1x multiple or 1.5x multiple at the most, not more than that. The best of venture capitalists from India and the Silicon Valley are backing this startup, and it's a little less than a year old, so that's why I said it's just a few months old. Is that impressive, guys?
Yes, sir.
So do you want to know how this company did it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the answer is people. People. What this company did is employed people from large companies like Deloitte, large companies like Pricewaterhouse, some of the leading technology companies in India and in the world. So the one thing that this company did right was get the best of people working for it, both as full-timers as well as moonlighters. You understand what moonlighting is? Yeah, moonlighting is basically where somebody is working in Google or working in Facebook or working for Amazon in the US, but he wants to contribute to a startup. Okay, so in his free time, probably on a Saturday or a Sunday, he spends 1 or 2 hours contributing to that company. So in return for his contribution, he generally takes either money or a stake in the company, a small stake in the company. So this company worked out a system where 50% of the company, okay, now pay attention to this. This company's philosophy is that they will own 100 companies, and out of those 100 companies, they will own a substantial stake, and out of the stake that they own, 50% of the stake will be owned by people working in the company and people contributing as moonlighters. So understand the difference. A few years ago, when people were forming companies, they would think, this is my company, I must own at least 90%. Okay, today already the mindset has changed. The The mindset is, I'm starting today, let the people working in the company own 50% of the company. Right? So, the other thing that this company did is gave freedom to pursue their own goals to people. For example, somebody working in the company has an idea and wants to execute that idea, wants to have a startup of their own. This company allows them to have the startup while they're working. Right? So, they have a system how they manage it. Obviously, flexible work timings, needless to say that, you don't have a 10 to 6 job or a 9 to 5 job. In a startup, you're working almost 24 hours. You work when you want. You take off when you want. Accommodation, common kitchen facilities, flat organization structure. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. So the Zelpmock way. This is my belief. I am also one of the founders of this company. I'm talking about this because the philosophy is very different, and in a span of less than 1 year, this is what this company has been able to achieve. This is new age. Okay, what I'm talking to you about, guys, when you go out in the market, demand for what is right. Don't just go work for salaries. This is what I wanted to say. Let's look at what Steve Jobs said. This is what Zelpmock also follows. It says that, when you hire the smartest people available in the market, don't tell them what to do. A lot of entrepreneurs make that mistake. I am the boss, I will tell you what to do. In fact, it should be the other way around. If you hire smart people, allow them to tell you what to do. That's why they are hired. So when you go and join companies, okay, remember you're not being hired to be told. You're being hired for you also to tell them what to do. Contribute your brain, contribute your ideas, contribute anything that can disrupt and innovate. So what is the future and present looking like? Okay, this is going to be helpful for you to understand which companies to join and what role you're going to play. The present looks like this. Okay, the present is something like O2O. All of you have heard this term. Okay, it's offline to online. So if you look at all the new age companies that are in the news, that are getting funded, they are basically solving this problem. What was being done earlier as offline in the real world is now being taken online, and there are 4 things. There are companies within these 4 domains. Most of the companies, new age companies that you will see, okay, you will see platforms. So if you're talking about Flipkart, Ola, Uber, I can go on naming a lot of companies. These are basically platforms, marketplaces, aggregators, or they're basically platforms which allow trade or business to happen online, which used to happen offline earlier. Okay, supporting this kind of ecosystem, the platforms, you have technology creators. You have companies that create the kind of technologies either directly or indirectly. Okay, the cloud-based server systems, the telecom solutions, and so on and so forth. So you've got technology creators who are facilitating this kind of offline to online business transition. Then you've got fulfillment companies, companies like Deliver, companies like Dunzo, companies like Roadrunners. These are companies which are basically helping the large companies fulfill the last mile delivery systems and logistics, right? And the last one is payment solutions. So companies like Paytm, PayU, digital payments, Oxygen, those kind of companies. So these are the 4 offline to, these are in the offline to online space. These are the kind of companies and domains that are making a big play. If you're looking at jobs, try and see which kind of company you really want to join. Do you want to join the platform, or do you want to become a technology creator, or you want to become a fulfillment company, or you want to become a payment solutions company? Basically, this is the present. This is what's happening in the last 2-3 years. The last point is make a wise choice, because everything is changing very fast. A company that is looking like a great company today, after 3 years, sometimes it's become an even greater company, or it doesn't exist at all. Everything's changing very, very fast. So make a wise choice. Don't just go blindly. I'm contradicting. In the initial stage, I told you it's okay to make mistakes. Now I'm telling you, make a wise choice. I'm not saying don't make mistakes. Don't just join blindly. Look at the company's funding, look at the owners, look at the seriousness in the business. Okay, the future looks like this. I call it the next 500 million. Okay? When I say the next 500 million, what am I talking about? The next 500 million people who will come on the internet in India. They are not going to be people like you and me. These are people who come from rural India, they come from small towns, they don't know to speak English, they don't know to read or write English, okay? But they have the money, they have the ambition, they have the aspiration, they want products, they want good brands, they want everything, okay? But they cannot achieve it, or they cannot get it because they are not on the internet today. In the next 3 years, you will see a lot of these people coming onto the internet, okay? So, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because you are at a stage in life where you're going to make a choice what kind of company to join or what kind of company to start. The next 500 million people are going to go on to platforms probably which give them multilingual services, probably give them voice, automated voice services rather than typing. Okay, the next 500 million people expect a different kind of experience on their smartphones, okay, than what you and I are used to. So there are a lot of companies in India today which are solving this problem. A lot of companies are working on this problem. Find out which are the companies. The next billion-dollar company is going to come out of this, and not one, probably 10 billion-dollar companies are going to come out in this space because they're addressing this market, right? No matter which company you join, a few things that will decide your success. Guys, understanding customers, the basic. You've already learned this in your studies. I'm going to not take too much of your time. Remember, no matter which business, no matter new age, old age, present, future, customer is still at the center of everything. If you don't understand your customer, the customer's needs and the customer's behavior, it's really going to be difficult for you to understand how you can contribute to that business or how you can become a successful entrepreneur. A very, very critical point, okay? So understand who your customer is first of all. I'm not going to talk too much about it. So let's move next. After you understand your customer, technology. Whether you have a technical background or not, today it is very important for you to acquire some knowledge, acquire tools, both hardware and software, which make a difference to your career, whether you're working or whether you're an entrepreneur. This is going to be the most important part of your life in future. If you're not good at technology, you will be left behind, especially in new age businesses. Even in old age businesses, things are changing. Okay, in Just Dial, I'm going to give you a Just Dial example, what we did some years ago. There was this huge debate about buying iPads for all the employees. We have nearly 3,000 employees on the field at that time. And the debate was, should we buy iPads for all of them, or is it okay if they can manage without iPads? Hardware, it's a huge cost. Each iPad costs around 40,000 rupees. The decision that was made, okay, about 4 years, about close to 5 years ago, was to give every employee fantastic hardware like an iPad where he represents the company, and everything that was being done offline would now be done on the iPad instantaneously. You know what kind of fortunes it changed for us? I can't even talk about it. It completely changed the way the company operates, it changed the profit margins, it changed productivity, it changed everything for us. Investing on that hardware made all the difference. So if whatever you do in your life, pick up some technological skills if you don't have it already. It's going to be a life changer for you. Okay? So again, I'm not going to talk too much. MIS and analytics, I'm sure you've already spoken about, about it in your life. Very critical part and parcel of your life. No matter whether you are a startup, no matter whether you are a large company, your success and further success of your company and life will completely depend on how well you are able to use MIS and analytics to your advantage. Data is your lifeline. You must spend at least 1 hour a day in whichever job you go understanding data points, understanding what is really bringing you the results, what are the trends, and so on and so forth. I can talk a lot about MIS and analytics, but we are a little short of time, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm just telling you what are the points that will really make a difference to your life, right? Staying ahead of competition. So, as soon as you become successful in life, whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you're working, no matter what you're doing, The moment you become successful in life, one thing that's for sure is people will copy you. People will try to copy you and try to take away from you what you've achieved. They want to outdo you. Okay? And that's a good sign. So don't feel bad about it. Don't worry. All that you need to do is constantly keep disrupting and innovating in your own business. Even if you're part of a large company, you must, even if it's not part of your job, please keep an eye and a ear open for who are the companies that are trying to disrupt you. Which are the companies that are trying to take your market away from you. It's a very important aspect because that will help you grow in the company big time. The moment you know who your competition or forthcoming competition is and what are they trying to do, you will be able to disrupt your own business models. You will be able to innovate within your own business models to stay ahead of that competition. Okay? And that really will give you that additional impetus that you need for your growth, both as an employee or as an entrepreneur. Mergers and collaborations, we are talking about non-linear growth, inorganic growth. Now this is something that you must keep in mind. You could look at mergers and collaborations. If you are an entrepreneur, if you've started your own venture, you could look at mergers and collaborations within your space. It will help you grow faster. You look at non-linear growth, start looking at acquiring smaller companies or start looking at aligning with larger companies with common goals. Okay, but be careful. Probably you must use M&A specialists to advise you. So that is something which is very critical as well. This, according to me, okay, is a single, like for example, we talk about Ola acquiring Taxi for Sure. You see what happened, Ola got just bigger. When Ola acquired Taxi for Sure, I think the valuation was about $1.5 billion at that time. Today, Ola is about $5 billion valuation. So same business. Now there is a lot of people who talk about similar business. Why would Ola want to acquire a Taxi for Sure? What is it that it doesn't have? Ola already had everything. Why acquire one more company which is in similar space? So basically there are a lot of reasons. You must read a lot about it. I'm talking to you about this because this is going to be an important part of your life as you go further. Okay? Keep this in mind. Working on the business rather than in the business. Now here, it's very important for you to stay on top of whatever you're doing. Whether you are a businessman, an entrepreneur, whether you are an employee in the company. Please stay on the business, not in the business. What it means is don't micromanage everything yourself. If you are in deep operations, it's fine. You've got to do it. But if you're not in deep operations, then what you need to do is you need to be on top of your business. Keep some time for understanding, looking at your business from an outside point of view, understanding which way the business is going. Don't get so deeply entrenched into the business operations and processes that you're not able to see the larger picture. That is what it means. Okay? Don't micromanage everything. That's not good. Learn to delegate. Have a great team of people. Delegate as much as you can. Even if you're an employee, you will try to grow very fast, isn't it? You will try to become a manager. You'll try to have a team under you. Try to do that and try to delegate as fast as possible. Okay? Know when to say goodbye. This applies both. If you're an entrepreneur, you're the CEO of your company, doesn't matter. What this means is, if you think that you're not good enough for the next phase of growth of your company, probably it's better to bring in a professional CEO and you take on a different role in the company, probably higher than that of a CEO. But don't occupy a chair even in your own company. Even in your own company, do not occupy a chair if you're not able to continue to contribute to that chair. You need to have the right person doing the right job. It is important for you to understand. If you're working in a company, one of the things that's very critical is learn when to say goodbye. If you're not happy with what's happening, if you don't see the company moving in the direction that it should, if you don't see the culture of the organization giving you the kind of growth and learning that you should get, better to say goodbye and move on. Don't waste your time. The only thing that's precious and irreplaceable is your time. So don't waste your time. Learn when to say goodbye. It's very critical. Okay, and this brings me to the last part. I want to give you another example of a startup. before we move on to questions and answers. So here is a startup that I'm talking about. I spoke about one earlier, which was very different. Here is another startup that I'm talking about. It's called NeffX.com. It's in the foreign exchange space. Okay, the story so far started about 12 months ago. It's currently operational already in 49 cities. So what I'm trying to tell you is this: new age businesses, technology-driven businesses are able to operate in 49 cities within 1 year. If it was a non-technology business, it would have taken probably 20 years to reach that stage. Pass-through revenues of $3 million per month. Okay, now in e-commerce terms, this is called as GMV, but $3 million a month is $36 million a year. $36 million of pass-through revenue in less than a year, 49 cities in less than a year, launching in 14 countries in the next 12 months. Can you imagine the speed at which this company is growing? Right? And this is a startup with very, very basic funding of less than $2 million. I want to show you what they have done. So I'm just going to go back. I'm not going to play the video. So this is the video they have, what their ad. Okay, they've already got ads with leading cricketers. They have used some of the cricketers from all over the world because their advertising strategy was that if they are advertising in Australia when they launch, they have an Australian cricketer. If they are advertising in New Zealand, they have a New Zealand cricketer. In England, they have an English cricketer. In India, they have an Indian cricketer. So they had a very interesting advertising strategy. So if you want to see these ads, they are available online whenever you can go and see them. The next part of their business is even more interesting, okay? The next part of their business is they are launching a prepaid travel card in plastic and on digital platforms. Okay, now here is why I'm giving you this example is because here is a hybrid model, okay? A hybrid model which is not letting go of what was existing earlier and not letting go of what the future is. It's a combination, it's a hybrid in partnership with Visa and MasterCard, both and Payonix as a company in Australia. So in partnership with these three companies, they're launching. So with an India first strategy followed by 14 countries, perfect example of traditional cards with high-tech approach, blah, 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 blah. But important point is that look at the last line. Just look at the last line. The company's expected pass-through per day is going to be 30 crore rupees. Now here is a startup that's less than a year old, which is just doing about $3 million a month, is now talking about doing almost about $5 million a day. Okay? Now, this is what I meant by an Indian company thinking big, using technology, using payment mechanisms, and trying to do something really big. Okay? Now, the last part of their story is the NRI. There are 3 crore NRIs across the world. They are solving a problem for the NRIs. Okay? The problem that they are solving for the NRIs, there's a specific reason, guys, why I'm talking about this startup. Okay? I will come to that after this slide. So, they're aiming to solve a problem for 3 crore NRIs living across the world. The NRIs live abroad, have either parents, wives, kids, somebody in India, back home. If they have parents back home and they want a health checkup to be organized, the problem is, whom do you call? You call a relative, a friend, or somebody and request saying, please take my dad to the hospital for a health checkup, right? That's one problem. If there is a daughter back home, birthday, cakes, gifts to be organized, not happening. So this company is trying to solve the payments problem through an emotional angle for the NRIs. Okay? And look at what is the market size they're going after. They're going after a $100 billion remittance market. Okay? The reason why I'm talking about this company so much in detail to you is because this is one of the fastest growing startups. You won't hear about it in the media just because it's not funded by one of the large VCs. Okay? It doesn't matter. The reason I saw at least about 100 hands going up when I asked how many of you want to be entrepreneurs. Okay? For guys like you, this is an example that whether or not you get funding, it's possible for you to set up large businesses, okay, in today's day and age. And for those of you who are looking for jobs, this company is recruiting at least about 500 people in the next 1 year. Okay, for those of you who want to work, you're welcome to go and approach them. I can put you on to one of the associate directors of Visa, has quit Visa and is now working. He's heading this company called, his name is Ajay Yadav. He's moved from Bombay to Bangalore. So I can talk about jobs. Now that brings me to the end of the presentation.